Hey, Gator fans, I am here with the legendary Steve Spurrier. Coach, I really appreciate you joining us today. There is a lot of interesting storylines going on in college football right now. Let's talk a little bit about NIL.
Mhm.
Huge change in college football these last couple of years. Do you ever think about what it would be like if it had been around when you were coaching?
Mhm. Well, I'm certainly glad it wasn't. Although I advocated back in 2013, we needed to give the football players some money. And I
Mhm.
didn't talk about $100,000 or $1 million a year like some of them are getting now. I
Right.
was just talking about $300 to $500 per game, which was only about 25 to 27,000 a game for 70 players. It wasn't all that bad. But the big people in charge said that'll never happen. Players will never be getting paid. And I said, yeah, they will someday, because the coaches and the university and the commissioners and all those people, they were the only ones making money, and the players were doing all the playing. So we should have jumped and started giving them a percent or whatever. But nowadays, it's with unlimited, that doesn't make sense. Even the NFL has a salary cap, so they have limits to what they can spend. And at some point, you would think the colleges have to have a limit, and then it's up to the school to spread it out ever how they wanted to do it. I really think some of these teams that give it all to two or three players and
Mhm.
not the other guys, it creates some dissension within the team. So it's something you have to manage. I think Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs manage it as well or better than anybody. So they ought to go copy whatever he's doing and see if you can do it like that.
Do you think that had the head of the NCAA listened at that point, or the heads of conferences, and given players a little bit a long time ago, that maybe we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in today?
Well, possibly if we had started and increased it as the television money got bigger and bigger,
Hmm.
increase the percentage you give to the players. Uh, it may have helped. I don't know exactly, but obviously, when the lawsuit came about, it's a free country and free market, and that was the direction we're in right now.
So, what would have been the company back in the day that you would have most wanted an NIL deal with if this was around when you were playing?
I don't have any idea. Uh, I never sat down and thought about that. I don't know what you'd want to sponsor. Uh, I don't know. Ask Caitlin Clark what she just all of her sponsors. I guess you'd take one of the big sports companies, either Nike or Under Armour, Adidas, some of those. But I think all these guys have an agent, and the agent does all that kind of stuff. And all right, here's our best deal, and the players don't really have to worry about what deal they want. Whichever one's the best is the direction they go.
Your restaurant, Spurrier's,
Mhm.
is closing in on your third anniversary, and you guys are celebrating with a big party. It's Monday, August 12th. And you have been really instrumental in kind of looping the restaurant in with the university. Recruits come and eat dinner there. They get to see you in your restaurant, which you're there all the time, but also the memorabilia and the history. How cool would it have been to have something like your restaurant available to you when you were coaching?
Oh, I don't know if that would have been within the rules.
Well,
That
it wasn't then, but
restaurant, yeah. But we are proud to serve all the University of Florida teams, bring their recruits over and so forth. And I'm not there all the time, but I am there 2 to 3 days a week. I stop in and take a few pictures with everybody and try to welcome and thank everyone for coming to our restaurant. And we have been very successful. We've got excellent food to start with, wonderful location. The employees are really talented and wonderful attitudes throughout the entire group that we have there. So that's the big reason we've been successful. So, but I don't know what if I did my own restaurant back as a coach. I don't know. I think most of the coaches uh, got enough to worry about coaching their team than outside interests like that.
Well, let's say you didn't own it, though. There's a facility, there's a restaurant that you can take recruits to where they can really learn about the history of Florida football and see some of this memorabilia in real life. That has to be a huge advantage for the football program.
Oh, I don't know how big an advantage it is now because most all the recruits coming in, if they're big time recruits, they've got their agent,
Yeah.
and their agents are really looking for the best deal financially. I wish the recruits, the young men, would look at what's the best opportunity for them the next 4 to 5 years, but also after that.
Yeah.
And we really tried to sell getting a degree from the University of Florida and being prepared for the rest of your life. I don't know if anybody talks about that much anymore, but I am proud of so many of our former players, and a lot of them are in the coaching profession.
Yeah.
So we've got a bunch of high school head coaches in the area around Gainesville here that are guys that I coached back in the 90s.
I think that's one of the biggest parts of coaching that isn't talked about as much anymore is that you really are developing men for life, right? Like you're teaching these guys how to go out and provide for their family later on, be a good dad, be a good partner, and all of that should be selling points along the way. And you look at all of the guys that played for you, there are so many that you can point to that was something you did incredibly well.
Mm-hmm. Well, another thing that nobody talks about right now that I think we led the SEC in graduation rates for the football players, and also grade point average and those things. We led the SEC. So yeah, we were proud. Our guys, they went to class, they graduated, and they won a whole bunch of games, a bunch of championships, and they got memories of a lifetime. So
Mhm.
hopefully, all of them said, "I'm glad I went to Florida."
So, a little birdie told me that you recently shot a Heisman Nissan commercial with Tim Tebow, and the world's going to get to see it in the fall. But can you tell us anything about it?
Well, we were in a group. Tim and I, the running back Mark Ingram of Alabama was in there also. Desmond Howard was part of it. Uh, it wasn't anything too big. So wait and watch it, okay?
All right. Well, we're excited to see it. It would have been cool if these type of commercials could have been recorded when you were a player, or even think about when Tim was a player. He came back to school after he won his Heisman, and would have been neat to be able to, promote the university in that way. So maybe that's a good thing that's come out of NIL.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, again, there are some good commercials the guys do and so forth, and I believe they're having the right to do that. That was part of what I was arguing back around 2011, 12, 13, and so forth, is that if players can go endorse a product, let them go do it, and then the company or organization are paying them whatever. Nowadays, the boosters are paying the guys just for coming to their school, which is well, I guess what's fair for one's fair for all. But the NIL deals, if a guy does an endorsement for anything, a restaurant, a car agency, or whatever, yeah, that's a good deal.
What do you miss most
Mhm.
about coaching? Obviously, you're glad you didn't coach in the NIL era. I mean, we can tell that. But what do you miss most about when you were coaching?
Oh, just the competition, competing, trying to get your team ready to go beat the other team. Simple as that. The game itself was always the most fun for me. Uh, I remember hearing one coach said, "If we didn't have the games, this coaching is a great profession." That was the opposite. The games were, to me, the most fun and the most rewarding part about being a coach.